it out, but only at your own peril. To get the latest version, you just go download updates, close your Civil 3D, and it'll install everything. And then when you reopen Civil 3D, you'll be able to use all the latest features. Here's a connection to our help manual. And there's different, this is one I get a lot of questions on about setting the precision. And what we do is we read the settings that Civil 3D has in its drawing. So we can set we read this elevation precision, and we also read this slope precision. And the tutorials, a lot of them do have videos attached to them, so you can see how they work. Okay. And then there's also, hang on, I got to make sure we watch all the questions and chat. Oh, okay. If you have any questions, I will be following along. Make sure you put them out there. So there's tutorials for a lot of the tools, and also there's manuals for all the tools. A lot of our routines start with a mark. So if you do something and you don't like the way it happened, using the Civil 3D undo will only go back a little bit, but this will bring it back to the beginning of the routine. I had a question last week about where is my command line. For ergonomic reasons, I have my command line here at the top. It only allows me to do 3, but I can put it a little bit more out here, and we'll see if we can expand it. Oh, shit. No, maybe I can't. Okay. I thought it would allow me to, oh, there we go. No, that's not what I want. Anyways, it's up at the top. I like to have it there for ergonomic reasons, so I'm not always looking down. And finally, here's our settings button. This tells us what you want the Civil Essentials to do. So under the general, there's toggle to use land desktop points or Civil 3D AC points. Set the reactors to 2. That installs them, but it won't fire them unless you manually do it. And here's some default point settings for slopes and grades. And then under site tools, is there anything with the grade tool? There's some defaults for grade tools when we're doing labeling. These are the layers we're going to leave on, and I think that was most of the ones that we would want to do here. This file, it's reading the file in the current working directory. You can, by default, if you go save locally, it will recognize that the drawing is, any file is not in your working directory. And so you can either, it will, when you first start a project, it will find it in the Civil Essentials folder, but then you can make custom settings for each particular project and save it locally. Okay, so on with the show. I'm going to start with road. We're going to create multiple profiles because I think this is such a huge time saver. I start all my demos with that. This is OG. And these are, what we're not doing is creating new styles. We're using the Civil 3D styles and going from there. Okay, so there's our 2 profiles. I'm going to draw my profile from here. We pick our profile view. And we go, okay. And I'm going to go the end of, pick point. And there's our start point. Now I'm going to go okay. And as I move my cursor, you can see down here at the bottom that the station elevation and grade of my tangent. And that's the exact point we picked. So we can put in station. And then elevation or a grade, minus 1.25 perhaps, and OK. Pick a point, OK. And then O snap, so you type in an O, and we want to go end of, and OK. When you're done, you go enter, and there's our K and our K. And this is a design profile style, enter. And there's our Civil 3D profile. Now, I'm going to, first off, is we're going to put Cogo points at all the lot corners. So we're going to have it do all of, find all the layers on this, all the lines on the same layer. We're going to add existing elevation into the, we're going to add elevation to the descriptor attribute. So we just go OK. Prompts us for what surface we want to query. We go OG, pick a line, and there are Cogo points at all the lot corners. This is one of the few routines where we set the style because we have two styles, one called PTNO and one PTNOR. And that's just to make sure that we have the elevation inside the lot line on both ends. Now I'm going to do, there's a couple of neat routines. So so along the back of these lots, this is now the elevations are original ground, so we have to match there. But along the back of these lots, we'll need to put in a catch basin. And this swale, we're going to pick the 2D polyline. And it's found all of those points. You can remove some. And this is what it looks like. The red X here is station 0. We can go over here. There's the station at the end. And so this is a great tool. We're going to go grades, and we're going to go down at 3 and maybe up at 2 from that point. So it's going to go along here at 66 meters, which is about halfway, and we go OK. And that's where the catch basin is going to be. And we go OK. And there's the low point. Another neat one, wow, the same routine, but we'll do it a little bit differently, is under swale. We pick our 2D polyline, finds those 2 points. And we want to go up at 2% maybe from there, and down 5%. No, the other way around. So we're going to go into, hold both of them, shift, grades, go up at 5 and then down at 2. And OK. And now I'm going to tell it I want some additional Cogo points. So we're going to go end of, and we pick that point. And I'm going to go pick in that vertex because we want some elevations there. And we go OK. And there are all of our elevations along that point. And now we can do some grade labeling. No. And no. And we just pick the 2 points where we want to grade, the grade labeled, any 2 points. And there you go. There's your grades labeled with your elevations. So now we want to do some of these lots. And so we have lot corner Z. We pick our alignment. And if we've already created a set of lot front elevations, we can recreate them, use them, recreate them, or modify them. I'm going to recreate. And it's going to find all blocks 15 meters each side of center line. And we're going to leave these layers on. If you don't want to, you can just put that star. Just made it easier to select them if it got busy. And so we just add these 2. And we're going to go 0.2 higher on the left, a 0.25 on the right. And we go OK. And we're going to go no to adding the split point. And what it's done is it's calculated, I'm just going to erase a couple of points because those don't belong there. It's calculated the station at this point, the center line elevation from the profile, added the delta, and updated that COGO point. And now we need to do one lot. No, I'm going to do something else first. We're going to use lot line editor. We pick our lot line and enter. Oh, I lied. Pick our lot line, our alignment, pick our lot line. And this tool allows us to put this many elevations on by grade. And we're going to tell it the label style is PTNOR. Oh, standard. Sure, we don't care. And we can make them perpendicular or parallel. You can turn them on and off. So we want, we'll put them all on the first one, and then we'll change it from there. So we want to have the gutter at 4 meters, the top of the curb 0.1, 0.1 higher, maybe 15 cents higher. And the front of the property then, and the front of the house is maybe 6 meters back from there. This is a running total. The back of the house we want at 25. Tab. And the swale, so that gives us, maybe if we set the swale at 3, that gets us 2.5 meters away from the back property line. You can set grades. You can even have it change that elevation. And we go, okay. And it puts all those points on. And we go from there, and you can continue on from there. So that's, if you need to have lots of elevations, you can do it that way. I'm going to undo that. And then I'm going to go into one lot, and we pick our lot number. You pick the low side front, the high side front, and the high side back, because in essence, we're designing the lot line between 2 and 3. So there's quite a grade. There's 3.5% grade difference. So now we have some options. If we go into our variables, we can see that we want this at -3 and our split point maybe at 6. And you can set your front of house elevation. We want that at 6 meters. And we want it 0.15 above the side lot line, and the back of the house 0.15 above the side lot line, or you could make it a delta from the front of house. We're also going to add slope lines, and we go okay. So maybe we can put in a split point. So it goes up at, we're going to change that exaggeration to 2, goes up at 2%, then down 4.5. And that's not really what we want. Maybe we want a back split. So it goes up at 2% from the front, goes up 2% from the back, but from that point, it will go down at 3 to 1 and find a point where it intersects the 2%. So we go, okay. So we're going to select our lot number, low side, high side. And again, there's a 6%. So maybe we want to do a walkout. And we're going to allow that back elevation to be edited, and we want that at -2. That gives us a lot of, we're going to put a back of house elevation on, and that gives us a lot of basement exposed. So we're going to just go okay. And now we're going to go to point number 4. Oh, and pick. And maybe this again is a walkout by depth. But rather than having all this basement exposed, what we're going to do is we're going to go 25 for the bottom of the bank. We want the bottom of the bank here, and we're going to do a 3-point walkout. So it goes up at 2%, down 2%, down 3 to 1, and then down 4.3. But maybe we can just go -2. And now we've got ourselves a backyard where you can actually sit without falling over. And there's our elevations. Okay, so just a variation on subdivisions. Let's say you're doing a parking lot and you want this as your catch basin point. Well, this was our catch basin point. So now we can go into grade tool. We can say, I want to have this one go to here. And we want the grade at 2%. We're going to tell it to hold the grade. And we're going to use that catch basin point as our anchor. And we're going to set a number of points off of that one. Oh, I'm going to tell it I want it to also label the grade while it's doing that. We can also have it do it along a polyline or an arc if you need to do grading along an arc. And so we go, okay, and here's our 2%. Maybe we want to go 2%. Well, it doesn't matter. 2% to there. Okay, and close. So there's a number of points. Now, if this point should change, and if we just go properties, and we change it to, let's say, 175. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to go under admin and update item. And what it's done is it's gone through, maintained that 2%, and updated all the blocks that I've associated with that catch basin. All right, so there's one way of doing it. Another way a lot of my clients are doing it is they use the grade tool, and they want to use 2% grade, and they want to set a number of points. So they pick this point, and it just gets updated to 2%. Okay, or also delta, maybe they want to go up 0.15, and so they just pick the points and just continuously pick those points. Okay, that's just some ways of doing the grading quickly. There's probably a lot more you can place. We did label grades. There are different ways of labeling grades, and placing elevation blocks at a distance, intersect by grade. And if we want to set our house elevations or our rear apron, minimum basement elevation if you live out west and you have pads, that's how we can do your basement elevations. So that's one way of doing it. Now I'm going to do similar process, but I'm going to do okay. So I'm going to do the same process, but this time with feature lines. So this is a feature line, and so we're going to go under feature lines, and I'm going to pick the viewer. And when it's the same dialog box we had before, except now it's reading the vertices and elevations from that 3D polyline. So we're going to go shift grades down to maybe up 3 and okay and okay. And that's our new. We're going to add that to our surface. So what I have here, I should explain this a little bit more. So this surface is a surface I created from a corridor. Somehow or another, I created a corridor surface. And the finished ground surface, what I did for that is if I go to this drawing and we go into site and I go into many areas, I did an extract surface boundary, and what that does is it creates a feature line from that surface along the boundary with those elevations. From that I created I created this surface. Yeah, a lot of jumping around, sorry. I created this surface. So now we have a finished ground surface that matches the outside, and we're going to slowly work our way and start developing a finished ground surface for the lots. So under feature line, nope, I was going to add this one. Add to surface as a break line, and OK, and OK. And now we have a surface. And now I'm going to add labels to all of the feature lines. So we're going to go label. We're going to first do elevations. Now, Civil 3D, when you add labels, you can have the same label at the beginning, at the end. What I'm going to do is I'm going to have a different one. So we're going to say finish ground, right elevation, or start elevation, finish ground, end elevation, and we're going to do all. And we just pick one lot line. And there's all of our elevations from those feature lines. Next, I'm going to run it again. And I'm going to put slopes on. I'm going to just say finish ground slope. We go OK. And we're going to go all. And there's all of our slopes. Now, because we have a corridor and we have to match at the corridor, we're going to go lot line, and we're going to say road 1 is our surface for the front property line, and finished ground is the back property line. And we pick, for us to know where the front property line is, you pick at the front of the lot. If the feature line goes backwards, we'll reverse the feature line. I better just check questions, chat, nothing in the chat. No, oh, hang on, there is one question. Okay, so there were a couple of things that when I worked on using this same dialog box, I think I screwed up some of the other features of this dialog box. But so same process again. We'll just do a split lot, and what we have to do again is go into the variables, and we want our split point at 6, let's say, and our bank rate at -3. And so it doesn't know. So we go into grades, goes up at 6 and finds the optimum split point. So we just go OK. And OK. And what it's done is it's put the new elevation on and also the grades. So even less labeling than we had before. Again, just pick. I'm going to have an option of editing the back elevation. And I'm going to set this elevation at 182. Set the vertical exaggeration to 2 so we can see what we're doing. And maybe we want a back split. And I want that back split at 6. And what you'll see is that here's the offset, here's the grade, here's the elevation. Here's the grade, the offset, the elevation. So So we go okay. It puts on the slope lines. And we'll set this at 180. And maybe a walkout by depth. Set this at 25. 3-point walkout. And again, this could be -2. And okay. And there's our new elevation. And here's a point where we have the feature line is going in the wrong direction, but I just have to pick it and it'll put it in the right, it'll reverse it in the correct. And we'll go grades. All right. Split lot. Ooh, that's ugly, but doesn't matter. Okay. And we'll just do one more. And okay. And when we go enter, it's added all of those points on as added the feature lines to the surface as break lines. Now, should the road change, we're going to edit the surface, raise lower, and maybe 5. And now we're going to go feature lines, update reactor. No. We're just going to select all of the points that we've got. And now they're reflecting the higher elevation and the new grades. And now we have to go in and we can see that we have to change our design. So we go back into lot line. Tell it we want to go with road 1, finish ground. And now you can see what a dog's breakfast it is. And we want to make some changes. We go okay. Everything gets updated. Right now the surface is set for rebuild automatic. You may want to not do that because it will really slow things down. Okay. Enter. So that's one way of doing it. Another way we have, so that does lots. We have also the edit by delta option. Where'd my mouse go? Right. Oh, there it is. One of our earlier ones was edit by delta. And again, we just go road 1, finish ground. And we have a template. So we go back 8 meters at 3%, then back from there another 6 at another 3%. Then from the back of the lot, we're going to come back 2 meters at 2.5 delta. And so we just go okay. And we want it to be elevation only. And again, we pick it close to the road. And this is, you can see how it's placed them where we want, and we can make changes in there. Pick and pick, enter. And there's now our new grading in the back for other, just a different way of doing the same thing. Okay, just a number of ways of editing feature lines. Let me just see how I'm doing. Edit by delta. Oh, here in Ontario, we have to have our existing elevations placed at all the lot corners. So what you do is you place them with their styles and their surface. And what we're going to, in essence, do is copy them everywhere. So under labels, we're going to go lot corners, and we pick our right side. We pick our left side. We're going to do all. And they're not on an XREF. And we're going to just pick one lot line. And you can see that we've added existing ground elevations to the whole site with the elevation inside the lot and underneath the lot line. Okay, and I'm just, okay, one last one. Well, so now we have, I'm going to just undo that. Okay, so now we have all of these points, but how do you send that out to stake? So we have this option of going to points, and we're going to go cancel because these are segment points, and no. And we're going to just select a few. We're going to just pick a couple of points or labels. And what it's done is point groups, properties. We're going to change the point to elevation only. And there we've done is what we've taken is our segment labels and now have made them into COGO points. And you can extract them and put that into your data collector if you have to do stakeout or if you have to pass that on to somebody else for whatever reason that labels don't work. Maybe they have, so that's one of the things. Okay, so once you've got your finished ground finished, designed, and you need to do earthworks, what I've got is a number of polylines that I have different pre-grade depths and stripping depths. So we're going to go under subsites, and you can see for each one I have a different topsoil depth and a different pre-grade depth. And you just pick the polyline, tell it what you want, and then you can go from there. And then you can run your earthworks. So we pick prismoidal. We say, I want to compare my original ground to my finished ground. We're going to create a differential, which will be the difference between the strip surface and the pre-grade surface. We're also going to check that if the fill is more than 1.2 meters, it will highlight that area. And we'll go from there. And okay. And we can add a bulking factor of 115. And you can see, well, here I've, one of the polylines isn't defined. So we just go okay. Just an error checker you might find. So we're going to go standard. And why it's asking about feature lines is on each side of the polyline. Now on the inside of the polyline, it's coming in 0.1 of a meter and putting a break line in to prevent having a sawtooth effect between adjacent subsites. So it's putting on, for each area it's defined, it's putting on the topsoil depth, the pre-grade depth, the cut, the fill, the difference, and then a report shows up showing all of the values we used, and it comes back and tells us we have this much topsoil, this much cut, fill, and the delta, and we have almost enough topsoil to cover the delta. Okay. Oh. Hang on, I have a question here. For some reason it's hard to. Someone has really cool. Can you turn off the symbols? I don't know. Which symbols are you? I don't know. You'll have to send me an email to Jason. You'll have to send me symbols on the lot lines. Yes. Oh, yes. The banks. That's just in the variables. If we go modify variables, I think this is what you're asking. If you set the slope line length to 0, it will not put the slope lines on for walkouts and back splits. Okay, so that's that one. So there's our earthworks. What we can do is under prospector dynamics, if we go surfaces, so here's all the surfaces. We created many areas pre-grade and stripped. And if we go into surface properties, we can tell it that we want to have elevation banding so we can see exactly where our cuts and our fills are for each one. And in this area, you can see the two offset feature lines, and that's why we get as clean as it's going to be between the adjacent subsites. Okay, so that's dynamic volumes. Now, we were talking about grading. One of the things that we have is adding service connections to your subdivision. So we're gonna, we don't care about that, lowest elevation. We're going to put on sanitary and storm, not in this drawing. Oh, maybe we can, there's curb. No, there's no sewers. I'm gonna go back to this drawing. And I'm going to go under site and I'm going to go streets, construct. I'm going to put an offset polyline on my alignment. And I'm going to go 201-1. And we don't care about none, no sidewalks. It'll just put the curb lines on. Okay, so there's some curb line. Here's our storm, here's our sanitary, and if we go under pipe tools and service connections, this will generate, we're going to put the sanitary on the high side, the storm on the low side. It's going to come a half a meter into the lot. This one's 1.5 meters. The driveway we're going to do in the middle, and it's going to put a 5-meter driveway on. And we're going to extend into the lot. No, we're not going to extend into the lot. We can. And if you're in Calgary, there's a whole bunch of options. They have to put in the highest elevation from your design, the lowest elevation from your design, and the water table elevation. So that's what these are all options for. And let's hope for the best. So we're going to pick the sanitary. We're going to pick the storm. I don't have a water main on here, and I'm going to pick the curb line. And yes, okay. And because we did the grading, we can just pick the lot number. Otherwise, you end up having to pick the high side and the low side points again. Block number 3. And the driveway. So here's our storm. Here's our sanitary. Here is the driveway. And we'll put the driveway right over here. And you just go along. Because it says they wanted the driveway in the middle, that's why it asked us for the offset side. Okay, so there's some sanitary, the storm. You can put in Y, doubles. There's a number of options in there. So, okay, so there's service connections. Now, another thing that we've been doing is under feature lines, we have this feature line and we want to daylight from it. So rather than making a grading object, we're just going to daylight from that feature line, and we're going to go to the original ground surface. We pick the feature line, and it's going to go 3 to 1 down, and it's only going to do it at the vertices, or we can have a walk along, and it highlights where the beginning of the feature line is. So do you want to go to the right or to the left? And we go OK, and there's our feature line. Now we want to put some slope lines on. We pick our one side, the other side, and there's some options in there, and we go OK. And there's the slope lines for the 2 feature lines. So you can see this is the high side here, and then it flips over, and then it becomes the high side on the new feature line. Okay, cool. Any questions? There were a couple. I think I've answered them. Otherwise, I think that's about all I have. Oh, there was one other thing I wanted to show you. A new routine we just added under the site. Check overlapping text. So we're checking to see if it overlaps any text. Okay, we're going to place a circle in the viewport, 5 radius, and we pick a point, and it finds all the text that is inside that viewport, and it will highlight where that text crosses another entity. Red means it crosses another text, and blue is for text that crosses text, I think. Something like that. Okay, so that's just one of those quick things. The other one was, let's see what layer that's on. List. It's on layer 0. Okay. The other one is to create a selection set. And it allows you to, it's like select similar, but you can also add Kogo points, text styles, colors, elevations. You can say DXF name, and you can go pick, and you say, I want to have that one, and enter, and it'll find all Kogo points. You go analyze, and then you can go OK, and then you go list, or whatever command you want, and it gives you a list of all of those points that it just found. The other one is a bill of materials, and use comma as delimiter. No,